The 2025 Ginetta Junior Championship is about to burst into life here at Donington Park. They've waited till the end of the day, the teenagers, but they are almost about to be unleashed, and unleashed often in the case of Ginetta Junior Racing is absolutely the appropriate word. We are very much looking forward to what's going to be a hugely competitive season. We've got a big grid of cars, 27 of them entered into this season opening weekend, and as so often is the case in junior racing, there are a whole host of new names to learn, and oftentimes it's those newcomers who come in and spring a little bit of a surprise. Andy McEwen here in the commentary box. Mike Simpson from Ginetta joins me once again, and Mike, in a way, we've saved most people's favourites to last. The Ginetta Junior Championship holds a very special place in the hearts of many a motorsport fan in the United Kingdom, for good reason. If you want good racing, young, talented drivers, this is the place to come, and we've had some cracking races at Donington Park down the years. So many new names this year, though. It's going to be fun, isn't it?
It is. I mean, it's our 20th year of Ginetta Juniors, and what a sight that is. I mean, you know, they're in the last corner there, and so much work goes in by everybody, you know, the teams, the driver coaches, and to put this show on, it requires so much effort. And, you know, you're potentially looking at the next F1 driver, world champion there, and, you know, we've got some special liveries on the cars this year. F1 are looking, you know, Red Bull are on 2 of the R Racing cars. Our champion of last year, Ethan Jeff Hall, he's been picked up by Mercedes. So we've got some of the more than equal F1 Academy potential graduates for the future. It really is the place to come now, and what's helped us is racing's got younger. We was always 14 years old, and you did Formula Renault or something at 16, and it was quite a big jump. But because everything's got younger, it's made this so relevant now. And some of the drivers will finish a final year in karting, but a lot of people are just making a jump. And if you're going to go car racing, what better way to start?
No, absolutely so. I mean, it gets spoken about frequently in the context of Ginetta Junior Racing, but you only have to look back at the list of drivers to have won this championship. It's a bit of a who's who, really, these days of national and indeed international motor racing, all the way back to 2005. Toby Newton, James Harris, Nigel Moore, Dino Zamparelli went on to do great things in GT racing. Tom Ingram, now British Touring Car champion, Seb Morris out in British GT, a whole host of other drivers, of course, who have come through the Ginetta Junior ranks, who may not have been champion, but went on to do rather amazing things in international motorsport. So yeah, learn these names, everyone. These are definitely names to remember for the future. Got a couple of returning drivers as well from previous years, but a bit like we've seen in things like GT Academy earlier on in the day, the newcomers springing a bit of a surprise in qualifying. Fred Green and Scott Lindblom on the front row of the grid together, ahead of the likes of Alfie Slater, making his second full season appearance in the championship. Expected, do you think that the rookies would come in and show up some of the more established names?
I mean, the cars are designed so it's tight, it's close, and ultimately you've only got the grip of the tyre, and this is a completely standard road legal tyre. It's not even a performance road tyre from Pirelli, so the tread block gets hot, the cars move around, and the category is designed to teach the driver everything that's underneath them and how to deal with that. You know, if you want understeer, you can create that, oversteer, you can create that, and it's a special formula.
Indeed. So this is how they line up on the grid then for our first round of the championship. Fred Green and Scott Lindblom, as I said, on the front row of the grid, ahead of Alfie Slater and Rocco Coronel. Torin Byrne and Colin Cronin are back. They start together on row 3 ahead of Max Cuthbert and Joseph Smith for Elite Motorsport. Then we have Ethan Lennon on the 5th row alongside Ethan Carney, 2 points together. Carney, of course, returning again in 2025. So is Felix Livesey for MDD. Jarrett Clark making his debut from 12th on the grid. George Proudford-Nalder is there on the 7th row of the grid alongside Reeve Lake, again 2 newcomers, as is Emilio Del Grosso and Felipe Reich on the 8th row. Noah Young and Harry Bartle continue the rookie element on row 9. Row 10, Josh Watts and Henry Cameron. And the 11th row of this mammoth 14-row grid is Raoul Tanzaran and Tiso Mabunda making a return, as is Mallory Mabunda starting on row 12. Matthew Chihuahua was slow away from the dummy grid, but has now got going. Then it's Katrina E and Josh Henry, with Freddie Lloyd at the back of the grid. 27 of them then set to go racing. It's going to be a lively one, we know that. Donington Park, I think, whether it be the national or the GP layout, almost the perfect track for Ginetta Juniors because they slipstream well. It's a high average speed around here, but you've got those big stops into the hairpins where they've been known to make a dive bomb or two over the years. I'm expecting a good race.
I know, our front row, they're both rookie drivers. Fred Green won the Ginetta Scholarship, so he's come straight in with elite and hit the ground running. Too experienced, or I say experienced, they've raced for a season behind. But no one will be getting away in this race unless there's some dogfighting. This could be a top 12 train for the flag. It's going to be special.
And we did have that in one of the races. I think there were 6 Ginetta Junior races at Donington Park last year. I forget which one it was, but in one of those races, an almighty fight for second developed, and it did allow the leader to get away. That's the only way you're going to win a Ginetta Junior race by more than a car length or so, really, isn't it? And that is the great thing about this category in particular. It really does teach drivers about racecraft, capitalising on those opportunities, and when to pick your fights.
That's right. I mean, we've calculated the slipstream here. If you're the third car in a tow, you're about 1.4 seconds, so that's so powerful. You've just got to sit there and plan your strategy. There's a lot going on behind the cockpit there, but as you see, it's a mechanical lever to change. They're blipping down the gears. It's on a road tyre, no ABS, no systems. You know, these drivers at 14 years old are seat of the pants stuff. If you were in there now, you would be hanging on for life. It's awesome.
Well, we're certainly looking forward to it then. The cars lining themselves up on the grid ahead of a 20-minute race. Standing start for the juniors. It's the only Ginetta category that have standing start still, because these are, of course, the least powerful of the Ginetta racing cars, but also I don't think it's that advisable to send them off into Redgate Corner basically at full racing speed on lap 1. I have to say that last year I was very impressed with driving standards across the board in juniors, and hopefully that will continue on into 2025. Right then, place your bets, everyone. Who's going to win the race? Who at the end of the season will we be crowning as a champion? It may not be the names you expect to see at the front. Fred Green and Scott Lindblom, rookies in the championship, together on the front row of the grid. The 27 cars are in position. At the tail of that order is Freddie Lloyd in car 67. The red lights go on. They go out now, and the 2025 Ginetta Junior Championship is underway. Fred Green then, did he get a good start from pole? Yes, he did. Very aggressive from Lindblom there to get across in front of Alfie Slater in order to defend second position. The leading two go tight. Slater to the outside on the way into Redgate Corner. That might well benefit him on the exit. Look in the distance, the third place car much quicker at the apex and does pull alongside the second place man down the hill. So it is Green the leader. It's side by side for second, but already Alfie Slater may be showing that extra year of experience in racecraft, positioned the car well. He is challenging for second into the old hairpin, but he's on the outside line. It's not the ideal place to be, and ultimately he has no choice but to slot into third position. A clean start, he says, so far, side by side for the lead, and Lindblom, having seen off the challenge for second, immediately applies the pressure to Fred Green, slipstreams past and clears him before they reach the top of the hill. So already we're halfway around the first lap. We've had a lead change, and all three of these drivers at the front are wanting to establish their place at the front of the queue.
Great start by everybody. I mean, this is it for 20 minutes. It's going to be slipstream, tows, bump drafting. There's going to be all sorts going on.
It's been a while since I covered a Ginetta Junior race. At the end of last year, I've got to remember to pace myself because these races start frenetic, they end frenetic, and the middle bit's usually pretty exciting as well. Challenge maybe for the lead into the chicane. No, bit of temporary alliance there formed between Lindblom and Slater. The leader almost into the tyre stack. He may have just shaved a coat of paint off the right-hand side of the car. A couple of others further back getting close as well. Did that slow him on the exit of the corner? Yes, I think it might have done. Slater then with the advantage at the Melbourne hairpin. And now a change maybe on the third position there. That would have been Coronel, I think, coming through to challenge for a podium place. They head toward the final corner. A huge cloud of dust appears in the background, but it will be car 27, Alfie Slater, who does pick his way to the front after some clever driving there on that first lap.
He's got a great opportunity here. If he can just focus, get a gap, not have to defend, he could look at gap in that pack. All depends what Fred Green does in second place. Is he defending? No, they're all running line astern, so this will be about pace now and trying to seize the opportunity.
Ethan Lennon there trying and ultimately failing to defend from George Proudfoot Naldo, who goes through on the inside in the number 25 car. That was for 11th position, so just outside of the top 10, and Naldo did manage to take the place away. And breathe, everybody. One lap down. We have 17.5 minutes of this still to go. And Alfie Slater looking to try and make his escape from the front of the pack. A big lunge up the inside. I think that was Nalda losing the place again, wasn't it, to Lennon? Yes, it was. So Lennon immediately fights back. And sometimes that is the best thing to do, isn't it? Once you lose a place, strike back before the other driver gets into the rhythm.
You can't relax in Ginetta. If you be patient, you go backwards. You have to always be on the tack. So interesting here, we've got the R Racing cars surrounding the elite of Fred Green. So, you know, Fred really needs a teammate to be up there to help him as a wingman. Because if those three end up getting together and work together, it could be a problem.
Wide goes Rocco Coronel, and there's contact. He's going to be even wider now after that. That was the 5th place car of Torin Byrne, I think, that got into him. And Rocco Coronel, has he got any suspension damage? Hopefully not, but he's dropped now outside of the top half dozen or so. Torin Byrne has Cronin looking to the inside, and then another one of those R Racing cars. You're never far away from an R Racing or Elite Motorsport car generally on this grid. That's the 6th place car of Cuthbert, number 34. But Coronel trying on the outside. It didn't work. It's cost him a few positions. His teammate, though, is back into 2nd position. A big lunge up the inside. That's the number 15 car, one of the Elite Brigade, Joseph Smith. He has managed to also take advantage of that moment for Coronel. So a great example there, Mike, really, of how one false move can cost you dearly.
Yeah, Rocco just got a little bit wide, lost the rear, caught it well, but then had a bit of contact with Livesey. I hope Livesey's not got any damage either. I mean, they're strong cars, so maybe the toes moved a little bit. But no, everybody survived.
Okay, so it was Livesey then, the 31. He's actually, ironically, just behind that group now as the leading trio through all of that drama have established a little bit of a lead. Coronel there to the inside of the 34. That is Cuthbert, who leaves the door open for the number 15 of Smith. So Joseph Smith to the inside then of Max Cuthbert. Those two shared the 4th row of the grid, and they were side by side again heading through Redgate Corner. The elite car ultimately moving through. But you did make a very good point there, Mike. We'll get to that in a moment, because I thought we were going to have an overtake into the old hairpin. Didn't quite happen. Elite versus R Racing. That's been the story of late, hasn't it, in Ginetta Juniors? Would you say that their ranks are pretty evenly matched this year? We're going to see Elite and R Racing going toe-to-toe again?
Absolutely. They both do a sensational job, and they get the drivers in early, get them training from 13, even younger years old, and they've always got this throughput of talent coming through. But the other teams are there. You know, you've got Byrne up in 4th place with pace. They were new to last year. Torin's really coming on. We've got Performance One, MKH, a lot of new teams coming in. We've got Bart of MKH.
Who's that? That's 22 off the road. 22 is Josh Watts, I'm afraid. Tim Gray Motorsport, another team on the long list of teams entered in the championship. He should dig his way out of there. But yeah, good to see more teams coming in. It's always tough, isn't it, when a couple of teams have asserted some dominance in a championship. But I actually quite like that level of competition. It means if a team can come in and take the fight to the established names, they're doing something really well.
It's really healthy to have many teams coming in. And we just mentioned Josh Watts there, comes from a great family of racing. You know, Danny Watts was his father, and Fiona Leggett, British touring car driver, mum. So it'd be great to see how he progresses this year.
Yellow flag at the hairpin and a safety car. Now, does that mean that maybe Josh Watts didn't get his car out of the gravel trap? The memo getting across to some of the lead group more quickly than others, but they just avoided clattering into each other. It's the 83 that's gone off, so that is Rivi Lake, the Elite Motorsport driver. That, I think, is McLean's up at the top end of the circuit, and that car's going nowhere, so we throw a safety car. It's not often I'm grateful for a safety car period, but if nothing else, just for the opportunity to catch our breath, this is not necessarily a bad thing. We will get plenty more racing in, I am sure. For Freddie Slater, an opportunity to catch his breath too and take stock of the situation. He's got the lead with Scott Lindblom in 2nd position, 3rd position for the number 51. And that is Fred Green, as we've got some damage on the 53. That's down in 11th position. Ethan Carney's front bodywork coming loose. That's something we do see relatively often on these cars. And if anything, it sort of deters them, you would think, from that front-to-back contact. Sometimes, though, you just can't avoid it, can you?
You could see the front right stay, just the clippers just beyond the driver's hands. That's broken there. So that may need to come in and get taped up.
83 back on the track, so that's good. Should only be a brief, hopefully 1 lap safety car. I believe we do have a replay incoming that might go some way towards explaining where Ethan Carney has picked up this bit of damage. There is a little bit of a scuff mark on the right front corner, and I think we're going to see shortly exactly how he got it. Heading through the craners then. No one immediately in front of us, but what there is on the apex of the old hairpin is a plastic bollard, and that's all it took, Mike.
Yeah, interesting now. I mean, both bonnet stays have snapped there, so I think he must have had some contact and it maybe have cracked the stay, and just that small impact has just resulted in the pins failing. But it'd be interesting this now. Obviously, we've got Slater up at the front. He'll be in his mirrors. He'll be trying to see who's in what order, where are the, the friends and foe. And he's got a teammate behind him, which is always a good thing. And then Fred Green, who's first race of the year for both Lindblom and Green. They'll want to get a good finish under the book. So I'm confident that they won't do anything crazy. Safety car lights are out, and we'll be going racing this time.
And then you've got behind them Colin Cronin and Torrin Byrne, who of course also not rookies. They're in their second year in the championship. They're going to want to try and move forward, and really those drivers in their second season want to maximise the opportunity at the start of the year to get the points in, don't they? Because that some of these rookies by the end of the year are going to be a real thorn in their side. So the likes of Slater, Cronin, Byrne, they're really going to want to try and get the most out of this season opening weekend, because the rookies will be coming. We are ready to go racing again then. We've got everybody back underway. The Revy Lake car is back in the pit lane, so hopefully we'll see that car back out again in tomorrow's races. I'm sure we will. At the moment, though, all eyes on Alfie Slater. He's got the lead. He has control of the pack. Is he going to go early or late? He's really stacking them up. So important, again, in a class of cars that slipstream so well, to try and take any advantage you can to break away. With
100 horsepower, if you miss the start, you drop back seconds, and that's a great restart from Slater. He's timed that well. He's put 2 car lengths gap to Lindblom, and he'll be clean into turn 1.
Laughable, really, isn't it, that 2 car lengths is considered a strong lead, but that's what he's got as he heads to the timing line. Then race back underway. Lap 5 begins. We've got 11 minutes, let's call that, left in round number 1 of the Ginetta Junior Championship. The leading group using all of the pit lane exit there to widen the entry point into Redgate. And there, Rocco Coronel, the one to watch, I think. As long as that car's not too badly damaged after its clash earlier on, he should be able to move forward. He's got Torrin Byrne's number 18 ahead. That car looked like it might be crabbing slightly as it exited Redgate corner, but that isn't slowing him down. He's keeping Coronel at bay for now. Old hairpin we go, and it seems, doesn't it, like Green is more of a threat at the moment anyway to Lindblom than Lindblom is to Slater. That restart for Slater still paying dividends now, half a lap later.
That's right, but you've got a choice. What do? Do you put a move on and risk losing even more ground to Slater? So, I'd be sitting there and I'd be thinking, right, I've got some space behind me. Let's relax. 3 of us, let's get away and make it a 3-horse battle for the win. But I just love watching these cars. You can hear the tyres squealing, and the regulations are set in a way to really reduce costs. So all these cars have been on their official race tyres since yesterday morning. Right. And you do Friday to Sunday on 1 set of tyres, wet or dry. So it's amazing, really, the hammer we give this Pirelli tyre and the longevity of it. But it just leads to such fantastic close racing.
Oh, my word. Lindblom almost didn't jink out of that in time, did he? Just avoided the tyre stack, having overshot the chicane. He arrived there with a heck of a slipstream and maybe a mile an hour or so more than he was expecting. His teammate Coronel, meanwhile, is to the inside of Torrin Byrne, and that is for 5th position. But they both slide out wide and open the door for Smith. They're all leaning on each other. Coronel, not for the first time, finds himself on the outside line and on the grass, and may now lose a few more positions by the time they reach the top of the hill. There's a 4 abreast into the final corner. That won't work, guys. They just about sorted out their good, clean racing. Torrin Byrne, the big loser, could now fall right to the back of that group because the 31 of Livesey is alongside too. That is 3 positions lost, I reckon. 4 positions, actually, for Torrin Byrne in the final sector alone. So 5th position then now is Smith. 6th still for Coronel. Stayed exactly where he was through all of that, but he's got a different car in front of him now. And then Cuthbert through to 7th position. Behind, more shenanigans, a big squeeze, but a committed lunge up the inside for the 67. That was a good move made by Freddie Lloyd, despite the very, very tough defensive drive put up by Ethan Carney.
You can't see much down there. I mean, that'll be fully in his eye line, and coming down the Craner curves, 100 miles an hour blind. I mean, that's some driving, that.
Yes, for the best that he can't see what's going on around him, actually, because he's right in the middle of that maelstrom, isn't he, going on in the mid-pack. Lead gap of 7/10 of a second now for Slater. All of the actions happening behind him. This the fight for 5th position. Coronel on the outside, Cuthbert on the inside, and here comes Livesey, who picked up a couple of positions at the final corner through other people's battling, and now he's trying to do the same at Coppice. There was no room, though, so he cuts back to the inside line. Coronel executes a pretty handy switchback, and someone's been off from the leading group 2. It may well have been that was Lindblom, wasn't it? Yes, because he has dropped now down into 3rd position. Sorry, he's up into 2nd place. It was Green in 2nd. Lindblom, who was on the grass, drops down into 3rd. Oh, very close to the tyre stack there for Cuthbert. Rocco Coronel, no matter what he tries, just can't seem to clamber his way up the order, can he?
There's a bit of a target on Rocco. I mean, he's having a tough race here. No one's giving him it. What a move, sending it in, locked up. Can he get it stopped? That was a lunge. That was well executed there.
That was a Moto2 move, that wasn't it? Backed the car into the Melbourne hairpin and somehow got it stopped in time. But desperate times and all that. We were just making the point that he's struggling to get through the order in the conventional way. So he tried something a little bit out of the box and does now move up into, well, back into the top 5 now, that should be. Across the timing line they go then. Lead gap now nearly a second. So Slater getting away. Green, as I made a bit of a mess of explaining, is into second place. Lindblom third, then a big gap back, 1.5 seconds back to Cronin, who's a bit lonely in fourth. Then that battle for fifth, which races through. And then the next little battle pack is for 11th position. It's led by the 55 of Jarrett Clark for R Racing, and another half dozen or so cars right behind him. Here are the leaders, though, into the old hairpin. Green a second back. How close do you need to be then to get the full effect of the slipstream? He's
in the draft there, so that will pull all the way up the hill. He'll have maybe 3k an hour, and it's just pulling. I think it'll be less than a lap, and he'll be back on the leader.
Yeah, look at that, and uphill as well, so it's really exaggerated out of the old hairpin. So you can drop a fair way back, can't you, and not really be out of it as long as you execute well. Get back into that rhythm and use the slipstream to full effect. Rocco Coronel is really being made to work for this. He is in 6th place for now, but 4 drivers want to try and take that 6th place away from him. His immediate threat is the number 34 still of Max Cuthbert. They're side by side behind him, though. That is Livesey Lennon in there as well now, the number 32 actually. Ethan Lennon moving forward, banging into the side of Livesey's car, but he's on the outside of the 31 machine, which gives him a squeeze as well, and to the gravel trap will go the number 32. You can see that coming, couldn't you?
You could. I mean, you can't one car through there, so that's probably the safest course of action. But nothing gained, nothing lost. Regroup.
You see that a lot, don't you? If a car defends into coppice, they run wide, and you think you've got the run, but then you're on the wrong side of the road into that chicane, and the outside into the Fogarty S's is not usually a happy place to be. Right, 5 minutes and 20 seconds to go. The leaders are about to come across the line. There's an almighty battle going on at the back of shot. That's the 55 car. Still in 11th place then is the number 55 of Jarrett Clark, but by the skin of his teeth, he's got the 25 of George Proudfoot Nalder behind. We've seen him making some pretty tasty moves in this race. Then the 67, which is Freddie Lloyd, and one other car in that group, which is the 73. Yeah, Harry Bartle. So 4 of them together. As to the pit lane, heads Ethan Carney, perhaps unsurprisingly, to get that bonnet reattached.
Yeah, it was a valiant effort, but visibility will just get worse. So it's the safest option. Get it taped up and get back in the race.
Switchback move on here. There was a move made into Redgate corner by Nalder, but Clark read the situation well, cut back, and then Nalder loses a spot. How quickly your fortunes can change, as through will go Freddie Lloyd, and Nalder almost actually falling behind the next car in line of Bartle as well. Wide goes the 55 of Clark, and suddenly Lloyd finds himself at the front of this group. I'm not entirely sure how he got there. The road just seemed to open up in front of him, but even by the time they reach McLean's, he's defending again.
That's it. You could see the slipstream there, 2 cars behind just pushing on, and it's so frustrating as a driver. You get to the front of the pack and you can easily lose a few more. So timing's key. You've really got to plan your move. And look at the lap chart, look at your team, see what your intervals are, how long's left in the race. And it's not just driving these things on an edge, drifting all the way out onto the back straight, but the drivers having to calculate what to do and when. It's really special.
Side by side again, Livesey here to the outside of Lennon. So Lennon has got through actually. They were the other way round at the start of the lap. Lennon then into 8th. Livesey unable to reclaim the position at the chicane. The leaders back together then. So Mike, as you predicted, the slipstream has brought Green back onto the tail of Slater. But now Fred's in a difficult position. He will feel like he's quicker than the leader. The slipstream will make you feel like a superhero, won't it? He wants to make the attack, but he's got to be decisive, otherwise second place could go begging.
So there's 3 minutes left. When do you do it? Do you save it for the last lap and risk that Lindblom will make a move on you and then it's gone, or do you go early and then you're defending for a few laps? That's motor racing at its best, you know. And these decisions the drivers are making in the moment, will define the course of the race. And I think he's going to have a go. I really do. I think Fred's a little racer, and he'll want to be leading on the last lap and park the bus, as we say.
Especially having taken pole position as well. It's not all that common, really, for the pole position driver to just have a plain sailing run to a race victory. This certainly hasn't been plain sailing, but he does have an opportunity to go for the victory. He's alongside after a bit of a mistake there for Slater at the old hairpin. Slater ran wide. Here comes Green. Which way does Lindblom go? Interestingly, well, perhaps unsurprisingly, with his R-Racing teammate, gives Slater a shove. Slater, therefore, I think will hold on to the lead just about. Didn't quite want to turn in, did he? Just in case Green's car was still there. And through it all, they come out in the same position. But that's the other battle that Green is fighting here. He's not just racing one R-Racing driver, he's racing two. And given the choice, Lindblom surely will always go with his teammates.
That's right. And Fred just being tight into McLaren's. Look, 2 lengths gone.
Yeah.
It's so brutal as Ginetta Juniors, but spectacular racing. I mean, that sequence there was no margin between those cars. Really respectful, clean racing, and we're watching superstars in the making.
Yeah, what Fred Green could really do with is his teammate Colin Cronin suddenly finding 3.5 seconds and joining in the fun, because then it would be sort of even Stevens then, wouldn't it? 2 R-Racing cars, 2 elite cars. That looks unlikely, perhaps. They all descend upon the Melbourne hairpin, desperately late on the brakes with the 2nd and 3rd place cars, but Slater looks relatively unshakable, although he did make a bit of a mistake at the old hairpin, but he will have learned from that as well that he's got the support of his teammate. If the door is prized open by Green, in theory, Slater just needs to keep it cool and the lead should stay with him.
He needs to hit every correct bit of tarmac, textbook racing, get an exit, and he could be fine. He's in his mirror there having a little look. Fred Green's in his mirror making sure Lindblom doesn't go up the inside. So I can feel the nerves. I can sense it just watching the TV screen. And yeah, 1 minute 14 to go. It's going to be an interesting last lap.
Yes, a last lap shootout then. Who claims the opening victory of the season in the Ginetta Junior Championship? There's a bit of real estate opened up between Slater and Green, so Green's first job is to try and bridge that gap. Of course, if he comes under attack from Lindblom, though, that surely will hand the victory to Slater. So an important sequence of corners coming up here. It's a good exit from the old hairpin for the 2nd place man, and Fred Green now uses the draft, uses the slipstream, pulls up to the leader. The left-hand side of the road is left available to him. That's the inside for Schwant's curve, but it's the outside for McLaren's corner. We know that Lindblom will go to the inside, which he does. He prizes Green out wide, and as I feared would be the case, I think this might well cost the elite driver 2nd position. Lindblom to the inside at Coppice corner. Oh, there's not much grip on the outside. Do they leave each other enough space? Looks like they will. So far, so good. But as they run side by side now, the leader is loving everything he's seeing in his mirrors.
He's done the job. He'll be breathing a sigh of relief there. And those two have been side by side for half a lap there. Great driving, super clean. Fred's gone in late on the brakes. Can he get the run out the S, or will Lindblom get the undercut?
Tried to time it, just knocked into the back of the 51 car though. That just robbed Lindblom of his momentum, and that's enough to allow Green to get to the inside to defend. They're side by side for 2nd. Slater heading surely for the victory. Who will be on the 2nd step of that podium? It's a good defensive run through Melbourne actually for Green. Went in tight but didn't seem to sacrifice any exit speed, and he now just needs to survive one more corner and he should come home in the runners-up spot. For Alfie Slater though, this has been an impeccable drive under immense pressure. He will come through to claim the victory in the opening round of the championship in the Ginetta Juniors. He wins 2nd place for Slater, 3rd for Lindblom. They were absolutely nose to tail at the line, those two, but the elite motorsport driver hangs on to 2nd position with Cronin in 4th. Another battle pack coming through here, and the 25 car actually has closed in on this group pretty quickly. That's Nalder, isn't it, who was well outside of the top dozen earlier on, but finishes in 12th place. They all get across the line with a few shuffles in position there towards the end. I think Nolder actually did get ahead of the 55 of Jarrett Clark right at the end of the race. But fantastic stuff, great driving standards as well. And, we had that early safety car through one car in the gravel trap, but given how many cars there are, how many rookies there were, how close the racing was, very impressed, Mike.
It doesn't get any better than that. I mean, everybody should be so proud of that. And, Motorsport UK granting a license at this age, all the hard work everybody's doing. And it's, it's not just about lap time. I mean, that was pure racing at its best. And, watching Green now on that last lap, he's on the outside line. You've got more distance to cover. He kept his foot in and kept it cool. But, Slater did a really good job there. Fastest lap as well. Broad shoulders, 2nd year. He's looking strong.
Of course, the cleaner the racing is, the more respect the drivers show each other, the more incentivised they are then to try those moves around the outside, to go for the side-by-side moment. And that in the end means that we're the winners, really, because we get to enjoy some top-notch racing. And yeah, I'm very much looking forward to seeing what the rest of 2025 has in store for us. Alfie Slater will be pretty happy as well. Managed that race very, very nicely, I thought, and he comes home a winner in the first race of the season. 35 nice juicy championship points head his way. It's a long season ahead, but any points he can net early in the season is only going to help him when we get back to Donington Park at the end of the year. This then is how round one of the Ginetta Junior Championship concluded, with Alfie Slater's R-Racing car in front. Fred Green was the meat in that R-Racing sandwich in second, with Scott Lindblom in third. Colin Cronin and Joseph Smith complete the top five, so Elite Motorsport cars outnumbering R-Racing in the top five. It's R-Racing who claimed the race win. Rocco Coronel and Max Cuthbert were next, ahead of Felix Livesey, Ethan Lennon and Freddie Lloyd in 10th. Torrin Byrne 11th, ahead of George Proudford Nalder, then Jarrett Clark, Harry Bartle and Emilio Del Grosso in 15th. Felipe Reich and Henry Cameron were next, ahead of Noah Young, Ralston Zarad and Valerie Labunda complete the top 20. There are more. Rab Sports, Tioso Mabunda was 21st, ahead of Matthew Jawara. Katrina A, Ethan Carney and Josh Henry were the last cars on the lead lap. Josh Watts was in the pit lane at the time of the checkered flag, and really late we saw in the gravel trap, bringing out that brief safety car. Well, a thrilling opening race of the season. Thank you, Mike, for your help over the course of the day. We've got more Ginetta racing, of course, coming tomorrow. First, let's take a look back at the juniors. The first round of the season in the Ginetta Junior Championship got off to a very exciting start. Fred Green led initially from pole position. An aggressive chop from Scott Lindblom kept his R-Racing car in second place going into Redgate Corner, but Alfie Slater was the man on the move early doors. The third place man was the top returning driver on the grid, and he was keen to stay there to the flag. It wasn't such a spectacular debut for Rocco Coronel. He had a collision partway through the race, and there was drama for Ethan Carney, who had a collision with a plastic marker post, dislodged the bodywork and sent him into the pit lane. Reeve Lake was in the gravel at McLean's. That brought about a safety car. After the restart, though, it was really a three-way fight for the win. Try as he might, Fred Green just couldn't find a way past the R-Racing car out in front, and Alfie Slater, assisted at times by his teammate Lindblom behind, was able to keep these two behind to the flag. There were a few close calls for multiple drivers, the race leader included, down at the chicane. It was a spectacular race and a brilliant example of racecraft and clean, respectful racing amongst the junior ranks. It was Slater the winner, though, Green the leading rookie home in second, and Lindblom completing the podium finishes in round number one.